In this video, we're going to troubleshoot Megatouches, and we're going to start with the one that we have here. This game came in 3 cabinet styles. It came in the bar top or countertop like we have here. It also had, in quotation mark, full size upright, and then it also had like a cabaret version as well. So we have, this is the Megatouch XL. There's the MAXX, and then the next one's Force, and then the next one's Ion. That's the most recent. You cannot switch software in between hardware lines. So you can't use XL on MAXX or MAXX on XL. Each game has to have a security key to function. If you don't have a security key, it will not function. I'm going to cover all the common and uncommon problems and fixes for the XL. Many are going to be the same for all Megatouches. So stick around, and if you don't see or hear the problem that you're having, just wait longer or write it in the comments and I'll answer for you. So let's say you get a new to you Megatouch and you get it home, you plug it in and nothing happens. So we'll start troubleshooting from there. We'll spin her around here. Nice that they have their own built-in Lazy Susan. Of course, you want to check your power cord. Make sure there's no, frays or cuts anywhere on the cord. You want to make sure that you have a ground plug on here, that it's actually attached. And then you want to check your outlet, of course, and make sure your outlet's putting out proper voltage. And then you drill that lock and then open this part up here. Then we are going to check out the power supply next, which is here. So the power supply has the main power cord coming into the game, plugs in right there. And then this is a secondary, this is an outgoing AC line. So one thing that you can do is, this one has an extra plug, or you just find the plug that comes off next, which is right here. And then you can test your AC voltage here to make sure that we have AC coming in, and then we have AC coming back out. That goes to the, I think this goes to the monitor. As if it is a new power supply, you can make sure that it is on, what is it, 110 or 120? Here we go. It's right here. 115. If that's flipped over to the other way and you're in the States, it won't work. And if you're across the pond and it's sitting on 115, it probably won't work for you that way either. The next thing you need to do is, if you find out you have your AC voltage going through, is we need to check our DC voltage. So, see, here's a good one where we can see we have black, yellow. Let me get this in focus. We have black, yellow, and red. So black is going to be our ground, red is going to be our 5, and yellow is going to be our 12 volts. So you can unhook this here and then use your meter to check those voltages and make sure those voltages are correct. So yeah, if you have no voltage coming out but voltage going in, then you need to replace your power supply. I just want to show the connectors that go to this. So this one is for the touchscreen. This one, I think, also, I think that is for the touchscreen too. And then we have this one that goes to the monitor. That's the video signal. And all of these, I do believe, should be the same, and none of them are flipped. And as far as our connections go, at the bottom, we have the big ATX style here. We got a little guy here, and that's it. But this is a, let me back up just a little bit. This is a separate I/O board here that plugs into a little riser that plugs into the motherboard this way. And then up above it here, we have 2 sticks of RAM, which depending, I upgraded to 2 newer sticks. Here is the battery, which that'll be a whole video on its own that we'll go through. Connector here, and then an IDE connector there at the top as well. One thing you may have realized right away is your board may not look like mine. The second one is Telco 486, which is the one I do believe we have. Demertech, Demerca Tech. So once you have your power supply squared away, it's putting out a good 5 volts and a good 12 volts, and it's putting out 110 for the monitor here. Then we should hear a beep out of the computer. We should hear some static from the monitor. So we have a couple things we're going to look at now. We want to look at the image on the screen to see if we're getting a picture. We want to see if the fans come on back here, and if we get any kind of activity out of the board. And then once the board starts booting up, then we'll have a whole slew of other issues we can go through. Other things that we want to note because of age is reapply the thermal paste on the processor. That could be bad. You want to check all your fans all the way through this thing. It could be dirty. If they're not blowing good air, the game will lock up on you for that reason too. If you do need to check your CD drive or your CD, it is kind of a pain. Some of them are nice and they have like a little tray on the side, or they have like a little access panel on the newer ones. The first and most common thing that you're going to run across is going to be when you boot it up, it's probably going to say something like doesn't know the boot order, or it's failure to boot, something like that. And that is going to be your battery, which was right back here where I showed you. It's just underneath that I/O board. I've already done a video on changing these. It's a big process, and I'm going to do a updated video to go with this series too. But if that's your problem, look for changing the battery. You need to update your BIOS settings and your CMOS settings. You're not getting any video at all, and you're at the point where your motherboard is booting up, your power supply is working. Make sure that your monitor is powered up, and then, like I was showing you earlier, make sure that these connections are plugged in over here. This one here is the video signal. You want to make sure that that's plugged in. The other thing is these RAM sticks right here. Yours will probably only have one. I upgraded to the 2. You want to make sure that these are good. You can flip them around to kind of check them, or maybe use another machine, and you want to make sure that they're seated properly. That can cause all kinds of issues, and it'll keep coming up. Now this is a CD based, not a hard drive based game. So I'm going to cover the CD problems first, but I will cover the hard drive problems as well. If you're seeing boot error, insert disk in drive A, or operating system not found, or system boot failure, you want to make sure that your I/O board is correctly seated, which is here. You want to make sure that it's seated this way and that way. Both of those can cause you to have issues there. You also want to make sure that your chips are seated as well. Here's one here. That may be one there. But you want to check, make sure there's no bent pins. You want to make sure that they're pushed in all the way, and no rusty legs, anything like that. And also, if you're having those, this is where the battery may be an issue too, is if the boot order is having a problem. So that there is your ROM. You can also make sure that this is pushed in too. And then there's a jumper here. It is, let me see, JP1, and JP2 is next to it. You want to make sure that it has this little cap on it, and that shorts the connection, because that not being on there can also cause the problem. If you see error, invalid key, you want to check your Dallas key, which is this guy right here, just south. This is your Dallas key here. Same thing. It's also got pins. It's like a chip. You want to make sure all your pins are set properly and that it's seated properly. And you need to make sure that your CD running in the CD drive, which is underneath the monitor down here, right there, you want to make sure it is the newest version possible. And once you run it once with a new CD, it should be fine. It'll program everything. But you do want to make sure that you have the newest version possible. If you have failure drive F, bad file command, file not found, or the unit comes on but no game is displayed, then you want to check and make sure that your CD is in there the right way, that it's not scratched or damaged to the point where it's not going to be able to be read by the player. And then you also want to make sure all your connections are seated properly. And so this is IDE cable is going to be one of them. That also goes down into the CD drive itself, as well as a power connection. So you want to make sure that those are good. Displaying an error with memory. It could say that there's an error with memory. It can also just freeze. It can just go dark, or it can get stuck on the title screen like it was doing for me. That comes down to the RAM sticks again. Same problem. We'll keep touching up on that one. The causeway error 9. I think there's causeway error 11. Again, if the games lock up or there's garbled graphics or anything like that, you want to check your RAM, your sims, dims, whatever it is. And again, in this state, if this happens, it could also be your CD scratched, or it's just damaged and dirty, whatever. So make sure that that's clean. Make sure your RAM is good, and then check your NVRAM here and make sure, same thing, all your pins are good and seated properly. At that point, if you're still having a problem, you might want to do the 2-button clear. And so let me go ahead and show you that next. All right, to do the 2-button clear, it's pretty easy. Just pull this out, and then you want to push both buttons in as you turn the game on, and then it'll pop up and it'll tell you 2-button clear successful or something like that. There we go. 2-button clear detected. Please release the buttons. That clears your memory and can clear out a lot of the problems you're having with it freezing up, or if you have good RAM and it's telling you have bad memory. This is where it would hang up before, and so when I finally got the new RAM in, I was still a little nervous, but you can hear the CD drive reading. Okay, there we go. And now let's go ahead and hit setup. And you can get an idea of the different settings and stuff that are in the soft dips. Pardon my kitchen. So we have coin in menu, game menu, display books, options, video test, touchscreen test, free credits, clear credits, and system settings. And you can get in here and you can turn off the nudity and stuff like that in here. And there's even another test menu that's like a secret test menu. I'll show you after this. You can calibrate. It's pretty close. Okay, let's go ahead and stop there for this video. Like I said, I will go through everything that I have notes on. We still have touchscreen issues to go through, calibrating issues. There's so much more. But we will go through all the different versions. I'll go through all my notes that I have on everything, which is basically all the troubleshooting guides that I was able to find online. I wrote down any and every problem I've had, and then a lot of problems that other people have had I've seen in forums, just to keep them in the notes to see what's going on. But there's so much more to touch on just on this machine that we haven't got to. I'm compiling all my notes, and I'm going to put it into a unofficial Megatouch repair guide. I'll have one for each version, just like I did where I started to do with the arcade monitors, and so I'll have links to my books underneath and links to the tools and any reference material I can think of. And hopefully this helps, and let me know in the comments below what you're having problems with.